Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. Rights. We all have rights. Everyone has right. Everyone is entitled to something. Rights are legal, social, or ethical principles of freedom or entitlement. Legal, meaning the operation of law. That is, rights are the fundamental normative rules about what is allowed of people or owed to people according to some legal system, the operation of law. Social convention or ethical theories. You've seen this word legal, which is the operation of law. They're telling you that the extent or the extension of your rights when it comes to its enforcement is based on the operation of law. There are different types of laws. Hence, there are different types of rights. What type of rights do you have? Have you for one moment stopped and asked yourself in the process of thinking or saying or feeling the sense of entitlement that you have a right to do something? Have you stopped and asked yourself, what type of right do I have? God-given right, right? Because there are different hierarchies of law. The ecclesiastic law, nature's law being the highest one. But when it comes to this thing that's on a dense world, when you want to enforce it, called the legal aspect, by what means are you going to do that? If you say you have God-given right and you're not on par with certain spiritual principles beyond just saying, oh, the spirits are going to do it, or he's going to leave it to the hands of the spirit, or it just happened because, that's how the spirits want it. Nature is not going to back you up. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be able to function with what you say you know. You say you have natural rights, God-given right? How do you enforce those God-given rights? If someone says, you know what, I'll stop you. Because based on the nature's law and based on the principles that so-called God that you subscribe to, that you say gives you that right, based on those foundational principles, there's ebbs and flow rhythms that correspond with one another. So where you're saying you have that natural God-given right, there is a natural correspondence that is designed specifically to stop you in that right. And when that comes to life, not if, when it comes to life, which it will, how would you enforce that? Looking at the other types of rights that natural rights gave birth to, that extends out of that natural rights. How do you enforce them? Do you know the different types of rights beyond just your mere verbiage of natural rights? Do you know that different types of laws goes along with different type of rights? That's the reason why you see different types of lawyers. There's divorce lawyers, there's family lawyers, there's constitutional lawyers, there's traffic lawyers, there's lawyers that only deals with copyrights, there are lawyers that only deals with civil rights, like civil rights lawyers. There are only lawyers who deals with tort. Each and every one of these categories that you find specific types of lawyers are corresponding aspects of types of laws that exist. And guess what? The same thing applies with judges. Whenever you file your suit and you don't know your rights, you will be given a judge or an acting judge that will treat you just as though you don't know your rights. Because the nature of your suits is what will determine the type of acting judge hears that case. So ask yourself, do you really know your rights? Are you sure that you know your rights? And what are its enforcements? Ask yourself these basic questions. In the past, we've been over the difference between a private right, public right, civil right, criminal right. And we'll be going over the details further in the future. Even more details were revealed on the Patreon. But this here is sufficient to stimulate your mind enough to start thinking about it. Because if you do not know your rights, you will never be able to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, whether within the formality of court, within that venue called a court building, or outside of it. You're merely going around talking about rights, right is not sufficient. If you don't know the different types of rights that exist and the legal aspect of it, and what has been done within the legal realm to prevent you and bar you from being able to enforce those different types of rights, specifically the ones that applies to you, that you can hold them by the balls. And the whole talk about right is just a mere fanatical thing. Remember, information is supposed to be acquired to be able to function with it, not mere regurgitation. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, do you have rights? And if your answer is yes, what type of right do you have? And after you make a response to that, how do you enforce it? And how realistic are you with it? The spirit of the law will not accept you if you're half-stepping it. The spirit of the law would always test you when you claim it. Question yourself first before the natural ebbs and flows of life's circumstance begin to question you, because it might be too late just then. Question yourself first before a tortfeasor comes at you and tells you confidently in a bigot manner that, hey, you better know your rights. They're giving you a clue. They're giving you a clue that there are different types of rights, and there are very specific ones that you can enforce. And there are ways to its enforcement that's written down in pen and paper. And merely reading it with 2 eyes is not sufficient for you to be able to put it to use. Merely telling someone that you have a right and hoping they're going to run away from you is not sufficient. Challenge yourself first and ask yourself, what rights do I have? What are they? How do I put it to use now and in the future? Best of luck. And also, I'd like to give it a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you very much. And if you haven't joined my Patreon, come on over. We speak about things like how you make a bond claim properly, about staying private when it comes to credit on a business or personal level. Speak about privacy, how to make different types of damages, because part of the damage that you state as relief is part of your claim. The relief and the granted and the damage itself. We speak about how to establish probable cause when you bring criminal charges and how simple it is. We speak about the concept of copyleft versus copyright, how to get it done. We speak about the GSA bonds, how to get it done, how to put your car in the proper trust and not to pay taxes on it, and a lot more. And a lot more to come about trademarks and different type of marks. So there's a lot more to come. So thank you once again to my patron, and best of luck to everyone.